Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy, where comedians give their takes on classic and cult TV shows, movies, sketches. Today we are talking about Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. Dun dun dun!
I'm Garth Marenghi, author, dreamweaver, visionary, plus actor. You are about to enter the world of my imagination. You are entering my dark place.
Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy. I am Sean Devereux. We are here inside the Push Comedy Theater, and we are going to talk about Garth Marenghi's Darkplace with Mr. Matt Cole.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for being here. All right, so you brought us Garth Marenghi's Darkplace.
Well, I didn't make it. I didn't have any part in it, but
okay, well, really?
I did bring it to your attention.
You did. Now, I would say I knew of the show.
Yeah.
And I had tried a few times in the past to watch it, and I hated it. I hated it, which is weird because I'm a huge kind of Anglophile. I love BB sitcoms, but I had a really tough time in the past trying to watch this. Now, probably most of it was because it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, hey, I should try watching Garth Marenghi. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? However, this time I really buckled down.
Yes.
And it still took me 2 times to get through that first episode. But once you get to the funeral scene, then I was all in.
Yeah.
Look out, he's got a gun! Move aside. That's the mother, Rick! Well, that'll stop him.
No, I remember the first time watching it, it was like, I was back in high school, and my friend had like the 1,000 channels on cable, back when people had cable. And we turned to this, and it's like, what the hell is this? Is it for real or is it not for real? And we couldn't tell. We were just engrossed. I was engrossed, and then my friends were like, we're going to go outside and like play football or something. I'm like, no, I'll stay here. I want to watch this.
I will say the second time, this time around when you said, hey, let's watch this, the first time I sat down to watch it, I was watching with a very critical eye, because we're going to be talking about it and reviewing it. And I think that's where I really started hating it a lot, because the style is all over the place. The acting is all over the place, and there's no consistency whatsoever in this thing. And I just couldn't do it. So then the next time, a couple days later, I came back to it, and I really enjoyed it. I'm just watching it for the fun of it, and that's when I really got into it, and especially when we get to the funeral scene. So tell us, what is Garth Marenghi about?
So Garth Marenghi's Darkplace is a part, like the actual series. It's a lost classic. So it's a lost classic, also with like a documentary sort of thing. And it's a spoof of like particularly Stephen King. So like these like egoist writers who think they like control everything in media. So like, oh, I'm successful with writing books, so I can like also go make my own TV series. And you can tell this because every episode starts off with Garth Marenghi himself talking about one of his lost classic episodes and like how he wrote it. He even starts, I think, some of the most brilliant lines are in the beginning where he's like reading like from a chapter of one of his books. And some of my favorite lines, he's just sitting there reading. And it's like, it could be like a regular book, and then it takes a turn where it's like, she was sitting on the sofa reading, and then her hands fell off. And it's like, just like, wait, hold on. And I'm not a huge Stephen King fan myself, but I remember like a lot of his books were like that, where it was like, and he thought it was just brilliant. It was like normal thing, and like, oh my God, his head exploded.
Mike stared in disbelief as his hands fell off. From them rose millions of tiny maggots. Maggots? Maggots. 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 All over the floor of the post office in Leytonstone. Greetings, friend. I hope you're sitting uncomfortably, be it on your sofa, armchair, or beanbag if that's how you choose to live your life.
I think it's also kind of a parody / satire
Yeah.
of just BBC television
Yeah.
in like the 70s and 80s. The production values are really low. So the show within a show
Yeah.
is set in a hospital
Yeah.
that a doorway to hell has been opened. So
Classic.
all sorts of weird things happen in each episode. But the exterior of the hospital is clearly a model that they just built.
I had to say that's probably my favorite thing is like how much time it took them to make it look shitty. Like everything, and I'm a sound guy, and I love how I think one of the characters played by Alice Love, whose actor name is Madeline Wool, who she plays a woman named Liz. All of her lines are overdubbed. So it's like everyone sounds fairly natural in the scene, and all of a sudden you hear, it just sounds completely mismatched.
You're overworked as it is. Tell me about it. It'll be a total hassle.
Look, I'll help you. I'm free most Tuesdays and my doctor's contract hasn't officially started yet.
This ain't orthodox, Liz.
Since when were you orthodox, Rick?
That's true.
Please.
All right.
I love those sort of like moments.
There's a scene in episode 4. It's kind of a parody on Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
The entire hospital gets turned into to apes. But there's a scene at the end where they have this entire conversation, and you just see the back of 2 actors' heads, and you can tell it's not the actual actors they got stand-in. And then there's a shot of a potted plant for a good 2 minutes while the rest of the dialogue. And I guess the conceit was like something happened to the footage or something like that.
I think that's part of the brilliance where it's like you've seen like really shitty movies like classic like The Room, and you're like, oh, that was shitty, and you always wonder, it's like, what the hell were they thinking when they did this? And I think that's the brilliant part where they kind of like took kind of from The Office, like Talking Heads. So like they kind of let you in on like why that happened. And some of those are just fascinating, especially when they talk about like acting technique, where it's like Dean Lerner was the publisher or producer.
Who is played by
It was Richard Ayoade, and he's like, he just like, well, they need an actor, so I've never acted before, and they cut to his acting.
Listen up, ladies, we've got a situation. A little lass has just cracked her nut, and if she croaks, my ass is grass.
And it's just beautiful. Like, they nailed bad acting.
So essentially, it's almost like you're watching the DVD commentary, interspersed throughout the actual episode. Yeah. But one of the actors, the guy who plays Matt Berry, who plays Dr. Lucian Sanchez, he said it was the weirdest technique I ever saw. He would never look at me in the eye when we were having our scenes together, and then they would cut to the scene, and he's always looking at something off camera while he's talking to this person right here.
I love it. And I have to say, like, this is my usual style of dress, but I did get some fashion pointers from the character Todd Rivers, played by Matt Berry. So he has the gold chain and like the 80s like hair, and I always thought that was really cool. So I don't know if anyone else does, but I'm like,
this is
this is my Garth Marenghi Darkplace look.
So it was aired on the BBC, 2004, only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Now, supposedly it started out as a stage show. Have you tried to track down any of
Yeah, it was, no, I haven't tried to track down. That would be gorgeous that would be a lost classic to me if there was like a taping of that show. Mm-hmm. It's called Frightmare or something. Garth Marenghi's Frightmare, I think.
So you had Matt Holness, who went on to go be in The Mighty Boosh. You had Richard Ayoade, the IT Crowd, and many, many other things. And then Matt Berry, who also was on the IT Crowd, and
voice in Disenchanted.
Ooh.
Disenchantment. Oh shit, Disenchantment. Yeah. I got it wrong. Disenchanted is like the movie with Pretty Woman.
Adams?
Amy Adams, yeah.
And
I
then
don't
the
know.
other one is the cartoon on
Yes.
Netflix. And then also he's in What Lies in the Shadows.
What we do in the shadows.
What we do in the
These
shadows.
fucking names.
Yeah. Well, it happens. It happens. All right. So anything else you would like to say about Garth Marenghi's? Why should somebody go seek this out? Which you can find all 6 episodes on YouTube.
I think the lines. I'm gonna go to my notes now.
Okay.
I've been going off this. Let's see. Oh, so again, these are all like in the first monologue that he does. And he says some of the craziest shit where he's like, "I'm one of the few writers who's written more books than I've read." And it's like he's like bragging about it because he's like really full of himself. It's like, wait, a writer shouldn't really brag about that, I don't think. Dean Lerner says he said, when I took a look at the script, I thought to myself, this is the most significant TV event since Quantum Leap, and I don't say that lightly. And I love Quantum Leap, so that really spoke to me. I was like, that means a lot. He also said he was mentioning Garth Marenghi, and he said that he thought Garth Marenghi was the Orson Welles of horror, and not just because of his weight.
I remember that line.
It's so good. I have so many lines. Let's see. Oh, I was thinking to myself and typing. It was like, Jesus, this episode has a lot of slow motion. It's one of those things where they meant to overdo it to make it look like cheap and shitty.
Yeah.
But then they actually commented on it, and they said that the episodes were actually running 8 minutes under. So they decided to put in more slow motion. And here's how they decided which scenes. They said that any scene without dialogue
Slow motion.
could be slow motion.
It's true. Not even running scenes. I think
No.
there's actually a scene where 2 of them walk out of Dean Lerner's office, and it's just them walking in slow motion. And it's not that they slowed down the footage. It's them just pretending to walk in slow motion, which was great. The episode. So the first episode is when the doorway to hell opens up. The second one, Liz, she is part psychic, and she gets her period, and it sends her powers out of control.
It's so misogynistic. Every line, they're just shitting on her for being a woman.
They really are. The third episode,
Skipper the Eye Child.
oh, the Eye Child. That one is a weird one.
That, I think, that nailed it for me. It solidified, like, within the first scene, you see a giant eye monster raping a man in a hospital bed. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then
that
immediately-
man immediately gives birth to a baby Eye Child that Garth Marenghi's character is now trying to protect.
Because he used to have a child who died that was half man, half grasshopper.
Yeah.
Which is like, and then he's like
He
very.
could leap really high, and he ended up leaping into the blades of the helicopter.
That was a great line too, where he's like very enigmatically. He was like, "I won't tell you how he died, but it had to do with his ability to leap high in a helicopter." It's like, well, I think that kind of spells it out.
The fourth episode is the aforementioned Planet of the Apes. They all turn at ape. I would say go check it out. Like I said, all 6 episodes are on YouTube. All right, as we're wrapping up, any final things you would like to say about Garth Marenghi's Darkplace?
I haven't watched the series in a long time, but I really like, again, to go towards like his ego and like his like shitty like ideas, like he's going to save the world with his writing. The final line of the series is, he says, "I don't ask much as a horror writer. I just want to completely change the way you think." It's like, it's very subtle where it's like, wait, you're going to change the way I think with an eyeball raping a man? I don't think so, Garth.
It's kind of funny because that's kind of the mission statement for this show right here. Yeah.
Change the way you think.
All right, so with that is Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. Please check it out on YouTube. I'll actually have links to all 6 episodes. If you like this episode, like, subscribe, do all the things that they tell you to do in YouTube videos. Matt Cole, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And this has been the Nerds of Comedy.
As a horror writer, I don't ask for much. I just hope I've changed the way you think about life.